Morning all. England played Philippines yesterday, and Nigel Short, I was going to cover the Nigel Short game against Eugenio Torre, but he's a bit of a legend, Eugenio Torre, one of the strongest players the Philippines has produced in the 70s, 80s according to Wiki. And actually there's a key game in 1976 where Torre defeated Anatoly Karpov. Believe it or not, sorry, giving the game away there. It's quite an old game, but how did he do it? I hope you're still intrigued to see how he beat Anatoly Karpov, the first player to finish ahead of Karpov in a tournament since Karpov became world champion at the time, really. So let's have a look at that game as a prelude to the Nigel Short game. So this is back in 1976. E4 from Karpov. Torre plays Sicilian defence. After knight f3, knight c6. Open Sicilian with d4. Knight f6. And then move d6. Karpov plays bishop g5. A Scheveningen type centre now with e6. And Karpov plays queen d2. It looks quite an aggressive setup for white. About the castle queen side. Going to have pressure points on d6 for example. Maybe f4, e5 later. Black plays a6. He's not going to routinely develop this bishop in this game for a moment. After castling queenside, now another non-routine move, bishop d7, making space for the rook. Maybe adding support for playing b5 because the bishop's now protecting c6 against knight c6s. And indeed, after f4, we do see the quick b5 being facilitated and used now, b5 here. Not too concerned about white's potential break with e5 in this position. White maybe makes that a little bit scarier by playing queen e1, so he's unveiling the rook here on the d file. So e5 looks as though it might be dangerous. Okay, a forcing move now from black. Knight takes d4, leaving the rook on d4 to be attacked with queen b6. An interesting move, interesting position. Black looks to be doing okay here in this position, not getting hacked up like you would sometimes in the Sicilian defence. Seems to have potential to generate some counterplay. In fact, there's great energy now being displayed by black after rook d2, bishop e7. We see now after bishop d3 space gain made possible. b4 attacking the knight. Knight stumbles back. And now another very good move, making use of the fact that the b5 square is available. Bishop b5, potentially undermining a bit white's king safety, getting rid of that light square bishop. Knight f2, and now more energetic play. This time on the king side, h6, and after bishop h4, we see the move g5. So what's going on here with g5? Can white not take that pawn twice, you might ask? Well, fg, hg. Karpov decided bishop g3 was the way to play this. So what's the matter with bishop g5? Let's have a quick look at bishop g5. Bishop g5 might be a target for queen a5 here. So the idea that bishop d3, queen g5, it's a target. If white gives up the dark square bishop, that's probably not brilliant here, but even stronger than recapturing, queen a2 threatening mate. Let's not go too far in that. That looks good for black. So in this position, this looks like one of the ideas is bishop d3, and if bishop takes b5, check, a takes, then it's dangerous, I think, to let go of a2. But let's go with rook d1. It's a good position, maybe even with queen a2 here, the obvious queen a2 might be okay. Queen a7, it looks dangerous for white. Black's got an active position here. But let's go back to the game. After hd, bishop g3, Karpov trying to maintain positional control, but now knight h5, going to rob white of that dark square bishop. Can't move back at the moment or anywhere. And in fact, after knight g4, the bishop's robbed. with knight takes g3. Karpov plays hg here, maybe trying to gain access to h8 to expose black's king. So rook takes h1, queen takes h1. But now just rook c8, so king d7 is possible, protecting the rook on any queen h8. And the rook's of course very useful on the c file. King b1, and now black takes on d3. And this looks rather unfortunate now for white, the way Karpov plays it with c takes d3. He's leaving himself potentially with this horrible hole now on d4, which the black queen can sit on for a large part of the rest of the game. So why couldn't white have taken on d3 here with the rook? Let's just ask that. Rook takes d3 might actually be the better move. Okay, a5, queen c5. It looks as though black's got a nice position. Anyway, you know, white's pawn structure is not that inspiring, or the position of the pieces at the moment. It looks nice for black in any case. Maybe in fact, apparently rook d3 might be slightly better from an engine point of view on brief analysis here than c takes. So c takes, we have this dominant queen on d4. Things have gone badly wrong for Karpov in this tournament in the Philippines. This is 1976 Manila tournament. Queen d1, a5, and now the squeezing is occurring potentially even more on this side of the board. For the moment white's got a lock on a4. Okay, so knight h2, but the other side of the board is used. Not just a4 is potentially possible, but now g4. Ingenious move, ingenious. Two ways of taking this. This is particularly ghastly because of queen g1 check. Winning the knight. Actually, I think the idea is to win the knight. Let's make. Well, that looks fairly clear cut. It's winning the knight. But the other way is chosen by Karpov. Knight takes g4, which gives bishop g5 as a very powerful forcing move here. Rook c2. The king's brought out a bit. Here it's devastating. Queen takes c2. Queen g1 is mating. Just showing that. Queen g1, it'll be forcing mate there. So the king's brought out. And now squeezing again with a4 now. Again, so that g4 idea has liberated that a4 idea, and the queen's still sitting there dominantly. White's a measly pawn up. It's a double pawn. It's not really of great significance in this position. Black's dominating the position. Karpov tries a3, and then we have b3 check. King b1, and these pawns are really, of course, locking down the king. The queen's passive. But how does black progress? He plays d5, opening up some more lines of attack. After ed, queen d5, he's on g2 now. White plays knight f2, and he does grab that g2 pawn. Karpov at least gets a knight looking good on e4 here. Bishop e3, and now the bishop's about to install itself on d4. Torture for Karpov. Torture. Knight c3, queen c6. Okay, and it looks as though, you know, bishop d4 would be a pleasant move to follow up. That's deprived with d4, but now queen c4. Threatening again, bishop d4. Karpov moves that pawn, but now e5. The bishop's about to be installed on d4 with support from the e5 pawn. Queen h1 looks a bit desperate to go for the checks. Queen d3 check. Bishop d4. Karpov uses that check. Now queen a8. But here, queen f1 check. Okay, knight b1. Now actually here, Eugenio could have played more accurately here. Apparently there's a forced mating sequence. The engines pick up with bishop takes b2 in this position. He played actually queen c4 here. Just for those interested, bishop takes b2 would have been a forced mate here. Bishop takes b2. check. If king here, then queen d4. If king c1, then queen c2, mate. So that's pretty winning, this position. But anyway, the game continues. Queen c4, check. King comes up a bit. Check, 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 check. And now white tries knight c3. And apparently here there was an adjournment. Actually, there was an adjournment, and after queen f1 on resumption, I think maybe before resumption, or on resumption of the sealed move, Karpov resigned. So it was actually Karpov was absolutely dominant when he had the World Championship title by default from Fischer in 1972. And he was dominating all the tournaments, and apparently this was the first tournament in the Philippines where someone came ahead of him, and it was Eugenio Torre. And this is just the background game to the Nigel Short game, which I want to show you from the current Olympiad. I thought it was only right. He's one of the strongest players the Philippines has produced. He's a veteran, 1951. I take back what I said about another Philippines player not having too much energy. This guy's 10 years his senior, born 1951. The other guy I was talking about, the other Philippines grandmaster, was 1961. Antonio GM Joey on some sites. But yeah, Eugenio Torre, great veteran of the Olympiads, played in loads and loads of these Olympiads, scoring very well. Apparently he got disillusioned for the 1984 World Championship match. In the preliminary stage he'd lost his match against Zoltan Ribley, but was later to become a minor TV celebrity, a daily hour of TV program, Chess Today. I wish there was such a program in the UK. Chess Today, that'd be pretty cool. Okay, comments or questions on YouTube. I hope you enjoyed this. Thanks very much.